beautiful day. I mean, really warm. Going to be in the high 80s. Well, not up there where the mountains are.
I was going to say, wait a minute.
Why do they do that to us?
They done you wrong there, Mike.
You make a point, and there's the counterpoint. All right, here's our point. It's going to be hot. Cars are going to be sliding around on track for these practice sessions. And here we are in race number 2 of 7 in a row of tracks that will be in the chase, just like Phoenix last week. And finally, we get to a traditional mile-and-a-half racetrack. What are we going to see?
Well, the first thing you're going to see is everybody try to get used to what's going on, because these first couple laps on the racetrack are always hair-raising, and this is a really fast racetrack with a lot of bumps. So you've got to be committed to be able to drive around this racetrack, but we've got a lot of things that we need to learn today.
And that commitment is that right pedal, Mike. I mean, all but wide open all the way around here. Extremely fast. Always carry a lot of momentum through these corners, and it's hard. It is hard, Kevin. It's the first one you get out there, you're like, oh my,
yeah,
we are flying out here. But a new body on the Chevys. We've been covering that all season long. Keep an eye on those. That's what I want to see. Can they perform on these high-speed downforce racetracks? And
that's what they've struggled with. Like you look at Phoenix and some of those places, and we talked about it early in the year, just being able to find the balance on that new body. These cars are so finicky to be able to make the balance stay correct. And, you know, this is one of those racetracks where you can run fast, but that might not work good for a long run as you get the handling and things that start to take effect over the run.
And I'm glad you're talking about balance. You know, the balance throughout the series. You look at the manufacturers, right? We've had Toyotas pretty much dominate, obviously, those first 3 races. You know, Blaney's just an absolute, just destroyed the field last week, driving up through them 2 or 3 times. And then the Chevrolets, in particular the Hendrick cars. We haven't seen Hendrick. The 5 car in particular has always been fast here with Kyle Larson, and I think this is going to be a great test this weekend.
All right, we're coming off a really exciting race at Phoenix. Here's Jamie Little.
And Ryan Blaney was indeed a man on a mission, getting the big win last week at Phoenix. Last time we went off the air, you talked about getting to go home to your wife and son, Charlie. What was that moment like after having the weekend that you did?
Yeah. They were both sleeping when I got home. But no, just, you know, going home to them is just a whole other element. You know, I said last week to you on the front stretch, you know, winning is great, but going home and sharing it with your family is even better. So very, very lucky on that side of it, and looking forward to hopefully being able to win with them here, you know, because I love the picture of, I get to show it to them in 18 years, like, hey, buddy, you remember this? And I know you don't remember it, but a little blast in the past. But, you know, what a great weekend last weekend was, and hopefully we can keep it up this week. And appreciate Pennzoil and Menards being back on the car, but looking forward to seeing what we got here. Kind of your first genuine mile-and-a-half of the year, you know, so curious to see where we stack up.
What is that checklist like, Ryan, when you guys unload here?
Yeah, I mean, you know, something we always talk about is the tunnel bump on 1 and 2. You know, where do you run, the middle, the bottom? Do you kind of split the first and second lane? There's a big seam there, so that kind of moves around as your run goes on. Definitely as the race goes on. And then 3 and 4, you know, it'll get to the wall tomorrow, I'm pretty sure. So does it get there in practice to where you can kind of get a stab at it? Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. But the tunnel bump is something kind of the biggest thing that we try to fight coming here, and hopefully we hit it right.
All right, good luck. Let's go over and check in with Larry McReynolds.
Jamie, hard to believe. Race number 5 of 2026, but the first of 9 mile-and-a-half races that will run this year. But Mike and Clint and Kevin touched on it. The first conventional track where we have no aero changes this year. We have no tire change from the fall. There's no added horsepower. And absolutely the biggest story coming in this race weekend is among the Chevrolet camp. Where are they with this new Camaro ZL1 body? I talked to Cliff Daniels. I talked to Rudy Fugel, a couple of crew chiefs from Hendrick Motorsports. They feel like they're going to have speed. But Kevin and Clint, the big question, and you know what wins races at Las Vegas, where will the balance be 15, 20 laps into a run?
Well, he's exactly right, and that's the hard part to figure out. As you see the 48 car here driven by Justin Allgaier this week in replace of Alex Bowman, and you know, this first group is really difficult because the track is clean. the Xfinity or the O'Reilly cars were on the racetrack before this, but they go out and they clean the track. And so you kind of have to be careful of the false read. But you see those bumps right there through the middle.
Whoa, hold on to it, Justin.
That's exactly what Ryan Blaney was talking about. And you have to be, that all starts on the entry to the corner. It's a square entry at this racetrack to get over those bumps right, and you have to hit them straight and with the right angle.
So let's update this story. Justin Allgaier is in for Alex Bowman, who continues to recuperate from the vertigo that caused him to park his car in the middle of the race at COTA. Anthony Alfredo, who is pretty much the same size as Alex Bowman. He can wear Bowman's suit. He can fit in his seat because of that late decision. He's their simulator driver. He was in the car last week. Justin Allgaier is Hendrick's designated substitute driver. He's part of Junior Motorsports, which is affiliated, and well, more than that, with Hendrick Motorsports. There's a shared ownership there. So with more time to plan, once they knew that Alex would be out of the seat, Blake Harris and his crew turned that car around for Justin Allgaier. And there's a lot of things need to be changed for a driver of a very different stature. So to put a period on this, Alex Bowman continues to recuperate. Jeff Andrews says he's made tremendous progress, still has some lingering issues with vertigo, and that's why he's not in the car this week, but he will be as soon as he's able.
Yeah, and this is a big task for Justin to be able to drive here. And you go from what he's driving on Saturdays with the O'Reilly car to now into this Cup car. This thing is a beast here. We can't overstate that enough, and you're going to see why right here. These cars, you see them with a nice arc right there, but as it goes over that bump and the way that you sit on the limiters and the way that the car crosses that bump, the most important part of this racetrack. Is that fair, Clint?
Oh, absolutely. Well, look, that's another view of it. That's as close as it gets. And if you're filling in for a driver, the last thing you want to do is go out there and tear that race car up.
Here's NASCAR's camera.
You could see those dark spots on the racetrack where that thing bottomed out, and it really unloaded a car big time. It wasn't just once. It was once, twice, maybe 3 times. Baby was doing the hospital hop. Lucky to bring it back.
Ricky Stenhouse set the fastest lap of Group A on his very first lap. Everybody else's fastest lap was on their second or third time around.
Over the years, people have called him superhuman.
Welcome back to NASCAR on Prime from Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Group A practice paced by Ricky Stenhouse. Everybody except Riley Herbst and Ross or third lap for Chastain, lap 4.
Let's go back to this, Kevin. I think this bump is obviously there, but I don't remember it being this early in the track. Watch this right there. You can see, obvious, but look how bad that car bottomed out. You saw the dust go flying up in the air, but that seems like it's earlier than I've seen, because the tunnel was always the bump, and that's pretty much in the apex of that corner. Larry, what do you got? Help me out here.
Well, I have a trained professional pit spotter down here. Regan Smith is my pit spotter. He has fed me notes, and you guys are spot on. Every driver we've been monitoring is talking about how much more aggressive the bumps seem to be from even when they were here last fall.
Well, you could see it on the racetrack right there way earlier.
Yeah, and as we ride on board with Joey Logano right here, you'll see just the difference in the two ends. This turn 3 right here, no bumps, but you have to decide. You've got a lot of choices down here. I always like, you hear him not all the way out of the throttle, but I always like that left front tire right on that line, because right here the car gets light on the exit of the corner. But down here, this is a really unique entry. You have to get out to the wall, and I always like to turn it down the hill. But if that bump is worse early right there, then it gets the car unloaded before you go.
Did you hear how much throttle off time? You could hear that car. Whoa, 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 whoa.
And you've got a couple choices. Right now, they're going to be partial throttle through those bumps. But as the day goes, you know, sometimes it's better to lift, get the car pointed, and go right back to the throttle down the hill. So as a driver, this racetrack changes with the pace, and those bumps just make it even more challenging to get your car balance right.
Time there, landing into 3:44. 1 and 2 was better.
And this car right here, you know, he went out later. I don't really like that strategy, because you don't have any way to compare to the rest of the field as far as your fall off and all the things that go with the racetrack. But a lot of times guys will wait to let the quickness of the racetrack wear off, because when that track is clean here, it really has a lot more speed and grip. So a couple of these cars, Ross Chastain being one of them, that waited to go out on the racetrack just to try to let the quick times go away so they could get a better read on their car.
And they're both running 30-30s right now, which is as fast as anybody who's on the racetrack.
That's right.
Right now. But you're right, that PR lap is not going to show up for Logano because of going out late.
Yeah, and sometimes when you go out late like this, it does give you, you think you're getting a better read for your car, but your fast lap speed is not as good, which doesn't give you a great read for qualifying. That's why I like to go out early, because when it comes time for qualifying at this place, you better be dang close to wide open all the way around to be able to make a good lap.
Well, let's face it, and I agree with you. When you go out there, you're not really supposed to be comparing yourself to others anyway, because you're supposed to be paying attention to the balance of your race car and worrying about your things. But it's only natural. You're going to look over there at that scoreboard and say, oh, we're off a little bit. So I agree with you. It's deceiving when you see that and your times are that much further off, but you definitely have to focus. Just wash that out of your memory. Don't even look at it. Pay it no attention, and pay attention to the balance on your car. Right, Larry? Am I right? Help me out here, buddy.
I'm going to try to help both of you out, because what you guys were just talking about, I talked to several crew chiefs this morning, and this is a track that will give you a false read in your practice runs what you know the race pace will be. Because remember, this is all the practice we're going to get, and you're trying to get things set for tomorrow, like those rear shock travel stops. So if you go out there and you're blistering off laps with a lot of grip in the racetrack, you're going to get a false read. So a lot of them said, you know, we're just going to try to maintain a practice pace, race pace here in practice, where we can get all our things right for tomorrow.
Yeah, because you want the car as low as possible in the back and be as close to those bump stops as possible to be able to go fast. So the pace here really matters, and when it's faster, it's going to hit all those stops, and then you can get yourself dialed.
Behind the wheel of that Zilich right now. I mean, he's out here, another big weekend for him, another unknown. A lot of unknowns as he's trying to figure out his race car and the speeds. I see him moving up the racetrack in 3 and 4. What do you think with this guy?
Well, he's had a bunch of bad finishes. He ran okay at Daytona, Atlanta, and really fast at COTA. So now's when that mental game starts for a young guy like Connor, when you're buried in the points and you're going to a racetrack that you don't have a lot of experience at, and you're having to tackle this beast of a race car at this racetrack that is really fast. So it's all about the learning curve for him. because here you're going to have to run the bottom, you're going to have to run the middle, the restarts are going to be 3 wide. So there's also a good opportunity to make a mistake again, but you have to just put your head in the sand and say, okay, I'm just going to drive, try to learn everything that I can, no matter where you are in the points.
But if you look out here, he's basically one of the only cars that's running right in the wake of, who is that? Joey Logano, learning a lot out there with that, but he's also learning how to move around, stay out of that air in front of him. I like what he's doing right now. The scorecard's not going to look good when you look at the lap times, but he's learning a lot behind the wheel, moving around on this racetrack. Those are the things you're going to need when you navigate through traffic on this fast, wide open racetrack.
In a sense, he was born a generation too late, because previously, I mean, he was, what, 9th and 2nd in the Saturday races last year. Back in the day, the Saturday and the Sunday car were pretty much the same, except for horsepower, and the transition from one series to the other was very easy. Now he climbs into this car, which is totally different from what's going to race here later this afternoon. Totally different.
Absolutely agree with you.
Well, and as we watch Zane Smith, you have to be versatile here. That was the thing that I always like to do in practice, exactly what you see a lot of these guys doing, moving around the racetrack. You can't run directly behind the car. The front end will push, and it'll make the handling characteristics just never workable. So you have to be able to move around the racetrack in order to get yourself through traffic.
8.5 minutes left in Group A practice as the Group B drivers look on and listen.
For the big, small.
American people, 0% financing for 60 months on select 2026 models, or we'll cover your sales tax, plus no monthly payments for 90 days, and a 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain limited warranty. Nothing stops Ram.
Purchase this 2026 Ram 1500 Laramie and get 0% financing for 60 months, or get 2.9% financing for 72 months, plus $4,500 total bonus cash allowance.
You've fought against the odds in every inch of every race with endless determination and grit. All of your hard work and dedication have brought you to where you are today. Keep moving forward. Talk to your doctor about Breztri, 3 medicines in 1 inhaler. Learn more at Breztri.com.
You play by the rules. Then things happen. Prices keep climbing. Every month, a new expense. And the debt adds up. So how do you face it? It starts with a call, then a plan. At National Debt Relief, we'll negotiate with your creditors so you pay less than you owe. And just like that, you're back on track. When debt happens, we're here to help you take action. And this is where your new chapter begins. Call or visit nationaldebtrelief.com to get started.
With the new IHOP value menu, all your breakfast faves, like pancakes, eggs, and bacon, are just $6 every day. Cheesy scrambles, French toast, and omelets with pancakes, all $6 each. The new value menu, every day at IHOP.
NASCAR on Prime practice and qualifying is brought to you by Subway. Fuel up with a $3.99 protein pocket. A lot of long runs in Group 1 practice here. The best consecutive 10 and 15 lap average is Zane Smith. He didn't run 20 laps. Here are the drivers who did, including last year's winner, Josh Berry.
Yeah, and Clint, you pointed out as he tries to get to pit road right here. Tricky pit road to get on because it's so far around the corner, but you're going to have to do this a few times throughout the day. You're going to have to make green flag pit stops, so you better be really comfortable with your markers and all the things, because you can't really see pit road as you come around the corner. So you got to maintain that speed. You see the curvature of pit road right here at the beginning and the end of this pit road. So it's tricky to get on, and it's also tricky to get your pit road speed right, because that yellow line right here is that's where you have to drive all the way to. So you can drive way around the corner right there where Clinton circled.
I also used that Las Vegas 4. That was a good marker for, because the depth perception is what's hard, and it's a blind corner as you're going around there upwards at 190 mile an hour. Things happen fast right there. Those markers are very important.
Well, we've seen problems here on pit road, whether it's loose wheels, seems more here than most, whether it's getting in or getting out or even just getting to.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
That shows you how fast it is.
There were 3 rounds of green flag pit stops, so tomorrow.
Yeah, it's going to happen. I mean, the odds are it's going to happen. So you're gonna need to not give up time there. There's guys that are really good at it and some that are mediocre at it, but when you make those green flag pit stops, it's super important to give up as little as time as possible so that you can either pass people or maintain your position and not lose spots.
Hometowner Noah Gregson.
Always good to be home.
And if you look at the bottom of the speed chart, that's where you'll find Joey Logano's fastest lap. Jamie?
Yeah, that's not typically where we see Joey Logano, especially in Las Vegas. And we don't typically see him in the first practice group either. And that's because he's finished 15th or worse the last 3 straight weeks, including that big wreck last week in Phoenix after starting on pole. But I talked to Joey before he got in the car, and he said their main deal right now is to figure out how far we can push these tires. You cannot afford to blow a tire, and it's something you guys just talked about, something we see every race here. So pushing the envelope, seeing how far they can push it. But Joey on the bottom of the board right now has not said anything, running as many laps as possible, working lap 28 right now, Mike.
I like what you're saying there, Jamie, and he ain't the only one. If you look right above him, it's his 2 teammates. There's Cindric and Josh Berry we just talked about as well. Struggling with the handling of their cars, finding some speed, some grip. That's comfort. If you don't have that grip around here, the speeds that you go, you're in trouble.
And it's probably not a Ford issue because there's Noah Gregson 3rd in this group.
Yeah, but that tells me that thing, obviously he went out early, but if I look over and try to find Noah Gregson to that point on a best 10, 15, or consecutive 20 laps, he's not there.
And
good point.
Today is one of those days where you don't want to be in the first group. The racetrack is going to be rubbered up and run in. The guys in the second group are going to get a much better read on the racetrack as to where their fast lap speed is, because it won't be this fast to start the second group. So you'll get a much better read for race trim.
Well, let's talk about this. All right, we're struggling with the Ford camp. Who is fast? You see Suarez there. They were extremely fast off the truck with the Spire cars and the Toyotas. These Toyotas are still making grip, Kevin. Very impressive. Nemechek, he's at the top of the board. Mike, to your point, I would have thought that car would have fallen off like the others that were up there. But if you look over best consecutive 15 and 20, folks, that Nemechek's right at the top. I think the Toyotas are fast.
And we know that on these... And really here at Las Vegas, the Toyotas have been good on the long runs. We've seen different generations of cars kind of benefit the Penske guys, but with this car, it seems like Gibbs and Kyle Larson with their previous generation car have been the dominant cars at this racetrack. Nothing's changed for the Toyotas, but we obviously have talked about the change that the Chevrolets have. Getting the balance of that car right will be determined as we go through this race tomorrow.
And on the best consecutive 20-lap averages, Chevrolet right now sits 3, 4, and 5 with Stenhouse, Zilich, and Chastain. Riding with Austin Dillon. 29.77, his quickest lap. And on this run, 18 laps. And the fall off from there is a full 2 seconds. His average for the 18 laps, 30.9. You know, it mystifies me how this track can be so bumpy in 1 and 2. Now, I understand the over the tunnel. And really smooth in 3 and 4, because this track was built on virgin desert. This is not a reclaimed industrial site like many tracks are. It was just built up from the ground, but boy, 1 and 2, that area takes a beating.
But this corner right here can be tricky, because when you get about 3/4 of the way around the racetrack, it starts to unload the car and flatten out. Austin getting to pit road right here.
To your point, Kevin, how many times have we seen people run into trouble and run out of real estate off of 4? That wall reaches out and grabs you quick.
And you got 2 problems off of turn 4. The two problems are sometimes when you're in traffic or even in general, that car will take off tight if you're not hooked on the bottom with that left front. Or you spin out right there because the car, when you get to the 3/4 mark of exit of turn 4, it wants to just start turning on its own. So you have to unwind the wheel at the exit of turn 4. So you can either drive it straight in the fence or spin out.
Look at this, and exactly what you say. You see the black rubber right here? Look with the angle that it runs right into that flat wall. We clear it right to see that. That's the running out of real estate that you talk about. That wall needs to be moved out about 5 feet.
Yeah, the angle of that wall and the radius of the corner that the line that you run, they don't really match.
No, the map don't work.
No.
All right, so the heroes of Group 1 practice: Nemechek, Briscoe, Stenhouse, Zane Smith, Chastain, all with great great American race with NASCAR Cup Series drivers trying to win the Daytona 500. You can stream the new episode now only on Prime. Barry Mack?
Yeah, Mike, I'm here with Justin Allgaier driving that 48 car. Justin, 5th quickest. You ran 29 laps, but what about the long run speed?
Yeah, really proud of this team. You know, Blake Harris and this whole 48 team on this Alex Chevrolet did a really good job. And, you know, first of all, I got to say, wishing Alex a speedy recovery. You know, it's this position is one of the hardest positions to be in because I want my job to not ever have to be good on the racetrack, right? So we're hoping that, you know, Alex can get back on the racetrack soon. But this team is predominantly run really well here at Las Vegas. And you know, the car drove really well. Long run speed was where we were really good. Some of that was probably me just getting comfortable on the short run, you know, the Cup Series car versus the O'Reilly Series car. So really proud of everybody at Hendrick Motorsports, Hendrick Engine Shop, everybody that is a part of this. You know, I think we got a really good Chevrolet for tomorrow's race.
Seems to be all about the B's, balance and bumps. What about the bumps in 1 and 2?
You know, on the long run, they're not nearly as bad because your pace is slowed down, obviously, but qualifying is going to be tricky, you know, and I think that anytime you're on low air, I think it makes it even harder, right? So you know, these cars are fun, they're a blast to drive, but they're definitely a little hard to drive whenever they're on full speed.
Yeah, Mike, we sure hate what's going on with Alex Bowman, but I think Justin Allgaier is the perfect driver to be in this car. He will take what this car will give him tomorrow.
Agreed, Larry. He's not run a Cup race here at Vegas since 2015, but hope he has a good day tomorrow. And again, I hope Alex Bowman is back with us soon.
Jack Links presents the greatest
All right, Group 1's practice session is finished. Jamie.
Clint, you guys were talking about John Hunter Nemechek and the Toyotas and how well you were able to hang on. Best 15 lap, best 20 lap average. You had to give up something early, though. Is that just the balance here at Vegas?
Is your ride height, right? And hitting stops in the rear and how much you can take versus how much is too much and breaking the back of the car loose. So I feel like we did a really good job. Way faster than Group 2, fast time-wise, but I feel like we learned a lot during that practice, put a lot of effort in over the off season, and finally getting to some racetracks where we can see where we stack up. So it's been a lot of work for me on the driver's side, trying to learn some different things this year on how to drive these cars for the setups that we're bringing to the racetrack and things of that sort. So excited with the speed. I feel like we got to get a little bit better on the long run speed, in my opinion. I feel like I fell off a little bit too hard there at the end. So and recorded right rear tire there. So definitely have a little bit of work to do there, but overall happy with the speed, happy to have Tri-State on board our Toyota Camry this weekend, and looking forward to qualifying. It's going to be a fast one today for sure, and then hopefully we can get a good qualifying spot and go race really well tomorrow.
All right, so far so good. That's John Hunter Nemechek, Mike.
Thanks, Jamie. Well, the biggest name in Vegas for decades has been Elvis. He held court at the International, now the Westgate Hotel, had the showroom named for him. And Carson Hocevar tomorrow has a very special fire suit.
Oh, it's going to be fun. Yeah, I love it.
Well, he's going to be Elvis, and the fire suit
Look at that.
There's a fringe that's painted on. Didn't you tell me it's going to have sew-on fringe, like one of Elvis's patented jumpsuits that he wore on his Vegas act?
The rumor has it they're going to have tassels hanging off of it, Kevin. I like it. Do you like it?
I don't. Halloween's not till October.
Oh, my gosh. Do you
Shots
ever
fired.
have any fun? I do like, look at the tassel. Look at this. Look at this. Love it. Kevin does not.
Elvis has. We'll be right back.
With the new IHOP value menu, all your breakfast faves like pancakes, eggs, and bacon are just $6 every day. Cheesy scrambles, French toast, and omelets with pancakes, all $6 each. The new value menu every day at IHOP.
Since 1966, Camping World has been a
at Kern Raceway there in Bakersfield.
Who you racing?
Run the super late model. Just a bunch of drivers, bunch of race drivers.
And your son's one of them, right?
Yeah, he's got no chance.
Oh yeah, I got a bounty. If he moves you extra.
You better not talk him into wrecking my car.
I didn't say wreck you. I said make an attempt at moving you. extra bonus if he moves you for the win.
So tonight, the Cars Tour West is at Bakersfield, Kevin Harvick's Kern County Raceway there.
That's right.
And both Harvicks are racing, and
look at this. I mean, put the bumper to me right there. And
I looked to me like you drove across his nose.
Yeah, either way.
Now look at this, folks.
Rubbing
I mean, his own son moved him out of the way for a win. Very greedy person, Kevin Harvick.
That's the way it goes. You gotta. Those are real life lessons, and then I made him stand with me in victory lane. Wouldn't even talk to me.
But he did pose for the pictures.
He did.
So he will remember that one.
Come on, Keelan. I'm pulling for you. Just move him. Yo him one.
All right. The Group 1 drivers are in gray. The Group 2 drivers will show up on white. Our pylon will show the fastest individual lap of the session, and we'll update you on the consecutive lap averages as we get there. This has not been Ryan Blaney's racetrack. He's finished 32nd or worse. Yikes, in the last 3 races here.
I hear what you're saying, Mike, but I'm here to tell you, I don't think he's racing there. He has a fast car. We know that. I think the results haven't shown the performance. Always fast on these racetracks. Passes a lot of cars and able to move around. Kevin, you tell us you got to be able to move around and go where they're not. Nobody does that better than Ryan Blaney. The results aren't there.
Twice he spun and hit the wall, and the other time he got taken out.
There you go.
Well, he got a lot of practice at it last week.
Yes, he did.
A couple issues on pit road as you see Chase Elliott go by. I think Blaney saw that he was taking off a little bit faster, and all that talk about the second session being slower went right out the window.
Now, truth is, if I was Ryan Blaney after watching that first round of practice with my teammates, all 3 teammates were in that, and they were at the bottom of the scorecard, I would be a little bit.
Years. So this is the real test to see where that 5 car and the rest of Hendrick Motorsports is as far as figuring out the new car. They're going to figure it out. It's just a matter of when they get it all right.
And he's running the O'Reilly race today too, so looking forward to seeing what he can do there. You know, that's the confidence, right? All right, where you want to run that O'Reilly's car? Let's go to Vegas.
In the next gen car, look at his win stats compared to everybody else. Twice the laps led, twice the wins, almost twice the stage wins. If Kyle Larson is not on your bingo card for tomorrow, get out your eraser.
Yeah, somebody else is going to beat you.
Yep.
A lot of racing this weekend. He's over hosting a sprint car race. They're racing over there. He's in the O'Reilly, as I just talked about. Big weekend for him.
And if he's not leading all those laps and running up front, you know that they don't have it figured out. But
look what both of those Hendrick cars drove away from Blaney, as we talked about. But look at him in particular. Now he's making a move and just passed his teammate, caught and passed him. 5-car rolling.
Tyler Reddick, 3 wins, and then I guess.
All right, copy that. 3 and 4. Focus on. Think about that.
Yeah, and that is definitely not an abnormal comment here. You have these 2 different styles of corner entry. You have 2 different styles of corners, one with bumps, one without bumps. And then, when you talk about 1 and 2 and you're able to really get that car through the bumps, a lot of times what happens is the front will take off as you get 3/4 of the way around the racetrack in the exit of turn 2. So if you get through those bumps good, and all of a sudden right about here, the front tires start taking off towards the wall. So you want to have the car tight. I think that I used to always tell my team, I would always kind of fudge how hard the car was hitting the ground, because you want the car as low as possible to make the most grip. So I would always lean towards telling them that I need the car. It's fine to drive, because it has to be right on the edge of being hard to drive and hitting the ground too hard.
When you need grip to find speed, look at this. The Gibbs boys brought the grip, brought the speed as well. Teammates right there, you see them riding along with Bell. Top of the board. Look how many Toyotas are in that sheet too.
I really felt for Christopher Bell last week. You heard in his interview, that's a driver who was heartbroken. You know, he didn't give that race away. It got taken from him. He was the best car.
Yeah, and it looked very similar to Denny Hamlin at the end of last year. You took those 4 tires, never made it back to the front, and we saw that happen to Denny Hamlin at the end of the year. So it's a tough scenario to decide how many cars are going to take 2 tires, stay out, and he just never made it back to the front.
We're really kind of picking up where we left off last year. Last year, these Toyotas were extremely fast week in and week out in the playoffs, and look at them. I mean, there's, you know, I was wondering when the Gibbs cars were going to show up. Obviously, Reddick winning those first 3. That's tough, man. Don't they get those cars from us, boss?
All right, now look at the side of that car as it comes around. All right, we're gonna move. Yeah, look at the side of that car. Everybody talks about the number placement on these cars. Move it back where it used to be. Here's a sponsor that's taken full advantage of the forward number placement by just drawing out their name all the way down the side of the car. I love it when a sponsor has a sense of humor to do something like that.
Well, and I think that it really should be the team's choice. If you don't want to put the number in the front, put it in the middle of the door. Put it wherever you want.
Put it anywhere between the wheels.
People don't like rules.
I think we left off. We need one more row.
The truth is, with transponders, we don't even need numbers on the cars. That's for the fans.
Oh,
so
you
do what
gotta
the
have a
fans
number,
want,
Mike.
and let them put it anywhere.
That's your identity.
It is, but scoring doesn't pay any attention to what they paint on that car or decal it with.
Opening day, just like we used to. I love being out here with Sam again, especially at the big game. It's why I wanted more for my symptomatic obstructive HCM. So I asked my cardiologist about Camzyos. With Camzyos, my symptoms have improved, and I can be more active.
It's a difference I can feel, and he can see.
Camzyos is proven to reduce obstruction in the heart 4 times more. Camzyos may cause serious side effects, including heart failure that can lead to death, a risk that's increased with serious infection, irregular heartbeat, or with certain other medicines. Do not stop, start, or change medicines or dose without telling your doctor. You must have echocardiograms before and during treatment. Seek help for new or worsening heart failure symptoms. Camzyos is only available through a restricted program. Before taking Camzyos, tell your doctor about all your medical conditions and current or planned pregnancy, as Camzyos may harm your unborn baby. Camzyos, first in its class to treat symptomatic OHCM.
It's great to be back.
Ask your cardiologist about Camzyos.
Holy smokes! You don't look so good, boss.
Tell me about it. It's a real inferno down here, and I'm burnt out.
Here, try a Red Bull. It's devilishly good.
Red Bull? Oh, that tastes heavenly. Wait a minute. What's this?
Oh, yeah. I forgot about that.
Wings? Wings? I can't have wings. Not in my position.
Red Bull gives you wings.
Unlike other value meals, Arby's new $7.99 meat and free box has 3 sides, not just one. It's more meal for your money. Seriously, it's more meal for your money. Well, where'd that come from?
Arby's, we have the meats.
Christopher David Bell, he's 4 years old. Now, what have you started?
Bell has driven to victory. That check is for $1 million.
When every mile matters, where will your journey take you?
You're riding with Denny Hamlin. He's made it to the top of the best consecutive 5 and best consecutive 10 laps. Excuse me, not Denny Hamlin. You're riding with Bubba Wallace. But Hamlin to the top of both of those charts. Wallace 8th on the best consecutive 10 and 7th on the best consecutive 5. That's Hamlin.
They look very similar.
Same color, but
yeah, and you hear Denny all the way out of the gas right there, and you heard Bubba Wallace with that partial throttle strategy through the middle, and a lot of that just depends on how your car is handling. You hear him out of the gas, but I mean, he's also, you got to have these different theories and ideas in your head to be able to be versatile like we talked about in the first practice. So knowing what your car does when you get all the way out of the throttle, and the difference of being partial throttle over the bumps, running the bottom, running the top, you got to have all those things in the back of your head. But by the time that practice is over.
Jamie?
Well, NASCAR Hall of Famer, Las Vegas native, Kurt Busch. What an awesome weekend for you. You look at Tyler Reddick's car, that is actually in honor of you and one of your paint schemes that you ran. You got the shoes to match, Kurt. How special is this for you?
It really hits strong. The team just always does genuine things, and with the crew and the sponsorship and just the fun vibe of everything going strong right now, I'm happy to ride Tyler's wave. But to see the paint scheme out there, like, I feel like I'm digging down into Kansas, trying to come up on the checkered flag. Yes, that was an awesome battle with Larson. I loved it. And that's the last win. And now here we are in Vegas with the commemorative paint scheme and the Jumpman brand. Again, 2311, always doing fun, cool things.
That was a great moment at Kansas. There it is, Kurt.
I love it. Man, I want to get back out there. Hang on, I gotta go get my helmet.
Hey, we've seen that happen before. Kurt, it's great to see you. Congratulations on everything, especially being a NASCAR Hall of Famer back in your hometown now.
Thank you, I appreciate it. Yeah, it's pretty special.
Mike?
Thanks, Jamie. Yeah, that elephant pattern on just above the sole of Kurt's shoes and all the way down the side of Tyler Reddick's car, synonymous
That's a cool
with the Jordan
car.
brand.
Well, I love it, Mike.
That is cool.
And that was one hell of a wheelman right there. Old Kurt could drive a race car.
Well, we see Reddick right there. He's 10th quick right now as we go to Kyle Busch, and both of these cars, one on the bottom, one in the middle. You've got so many different options here, and the 8 car of Kyle Busch, he definitely needs to have something good happen. I was able to talk to Kyle last week. You'll see it in the pre-race show tomorrow. But, I mean, and he was pretty open about where their cars were and how they were handling. You see his finishes right there. I think that, you know, that they're probably a little better than the car actually ran at those events. But you see Reddick run right up on the back bumper.
Well, Phoenix, they had a cut tire, hit the wall not once but twice. And yet he rebounded, got a lucky dog, got back on the lead lap and fought that thing to a 17th place finish. I mean, I would say Kyle Busch is working harder behind the wheel than he probably has in his whole career. It just the results, the end results just aren't showing it often enough.
Yeah, and you see right here, Reddick has moved all the way up to the top, but back to Kyle Busch and everything that they've been trying to work through. And I asked him, I always thought Kyle was one of those guys that knew everything about his car, what springs were in it, shocks were on it, everything that was going on. And I asked him, I said, hey, where are you at with this car? Do you know the springs and shocks and bump stop loads and all the things that go with it? And he's like, no. And that to me is one big difference in what you could do with the old car compared to what you can do with this particular car from a driver's standpoint. And you see right here, SVG, he's another one who's had a good start to the season. He's been very consistent on the ovals. We've seen him up front, leading laps, spinning out, rebounding, doing all the things that he's done this year. But off to a great start, put himself up in the top 5 in points coming into Vegas. So
weathering a storm. He's really weathered the attrition side of these first few races, and the points definitely prove that.
Came out of the hotel this morning. There's a Lamborghini with that same wrap on it right out there. But yeah, look at his start to this season. Well, spinning out doesn't affect the results. Well, not. A better oval track driver than anyone expected.
Well, that's where he needed to grow. You know, we knew he dominated the whole world saw him dominate the road courses last year, but he was not there at all in any way, shape, or form on the ovals. You know, a year under his belt, he's a lot better, and a case in point where the points are. That's exactly what he needs.
You know, we talked about Connor Zilic maybe having been born a generation too late. I think Ben Gisbergen is right where he needs to be right now. because his progression on these oval tracks is going to play right into this new playoff format where it's no more win if you're in. You've got to be good. You got to be consistent in all of these 26 races.
Well, it's the only way he can compete for a championship. I mean, look at his year last year. Dominated all the road courses, got to the ovals and struggled, and was out of the thing right off the bat with 5 wins. That being said, I think he probably, this car, going to the Gen 7 car, putting that driver in it because of his background, that, I mean, played right in his wheelhouse, is virtually exactly what he'd been racing his whole career. You think he'd have still got the opportunity had all those things lined up with the Gen 7, with everything?
Well, I don't, and I think that, but I think he earned the opportunity when he came over and won the first race, and you know, he's just got an extremely high racing IQ, and he picks it up real fast. And the difference between SVG and a Zillett situation, he's much older, has dealt with all these things at a really high level.
Now take a look at Chris Buescher's car, and again we're going to have some fun with the wrap here, because not only Buescher but his teammates there have a neat wrap on the car. New sponsor there for RFK. Not this week, but Darlington. All 3 of the RFK cars are going to have Greg Biffle style numbers at Darlington. That's going to be, they're going to throw back to Biffle and his great career, and that's going to be cool to see. That's next week. A little more than 7.5 minutes left in Group 2 practice.
You fought against the odds in every inch of every race with endless determination and grit. All of
average of all drivers, and Kevin really likes the way he uses that paint line at the inside of the racetrack.
Yeah, if you can get that line, if you can cover that line with the left front tire and just barely rub it right next to the apron right there, it'll pull you right around. So a little bit off the line right there in 1 and 2, but he's done a really good job in 3 and 4 of being able to put those left side tires on that line and pull yourself around the corner. And when you can make all this speed and consistently be on the bottom, you must have a pretty good car.
Well, and what you're saying there is it's making good grip, and I see all the Toyotas, they've had it all, picking up exactly where they left off last year, had it all season long, but I think this weekend it's the Gibbs guys. I think you see obviously his 2 teammates at the top of the board. He's right there big time in the long run. We got a hot racetrack this weekend, hotter than we've had here in the spring and the years past, and now we've got a little bit more bumps down in 1 and 2. As Larry told us, that tells me we need grip.
All right, now Ryan Blaney, last week's winner, having some issues. Here's his radio.
I'm coming to you. I've got this vibration in the seat. I've had since I've walked. It's getting worse, so you'll be stuck with one tire. All right. Maybe safe and sorry here.
Well, Kevin, back in the day, we would flip that drive shaft 180. What do you do in these things?
Yeah, well, a lot of times you see right here when you get that vibration. And
about 3140s after 25 laps on track.
yeah, and that's about a half a second off of what we see with Ty Gibbs's car, and Christopher Bell and those guys are actually a couple tenths faster on the last laps they ran than Ty Gibbs. So you're spot on, Clint, with those Gibbs cars.
Oh, they're going to be hard to handle. But I think that the Hendrick cars, haven't seen any of them this, you know, for the most part this year so far in 2026. But I think it's a Gibbs-Hendrick battle shaping up here. You know, I don't want to jinx anybody, but I think this is about the first mile and a half practice that I've covered in quite some time with this Gen 7 car. When we talk about greed and air pressure, that we haven't had a failure. I mean, this is the best time to do it. If you're gonna push the envelope, do it right now.
Yeah, and this car right here, AJ Allmendinger, he's had a great start to the season. We know on Saturdays, Friday nights that they're running Dodge trucks, and what that has done is it's put them in a position to where they don't have all the resources for this Cup car from the manufacturer and having to do it all themselves. But they've made the most of it out of these first several weeks.
And that's a great point, because it's even the deck stacked against them with all those allies, and you don't have anybody. That's no alliance out there running.
You have no alliance with another larger team. So you have no engineering data. You're not sharing information. You're on an island by yourself. But AJ's run well here and finished well here. Top 10s in 2 of the last 5 Vegas races, including 8th here last March. And on the biggest improvers list of where they are on average finish through 4 races, Allmendinger right there with Bubba Wallace and Brad. Jamie?
Yeah, I've been listening to AJ Allmendinger, just not happy on the radio. He thinks he has a power steering issue, said the front and rear are all over the place, and he has no confidence in the race cars. So you have these tight, condensed practices, Mike. Not a lot he can do. Just they want him to run as many laps as possible to get a feel, but that's a driver not happy.
You know, I know the teams, when they look at their balance sheets, they like having a condensed practice qualifying schedule. Less hotel bills, less days at the racetrack, less sets of tires to buy, less wear and tear on components. But how do the drivers feel about it?
They don't like
just a short session.
Yeah, they want more. They want more practice, and I think that it gives them more of a feel of what they need to find in the car and lets them develop things a lot more. But when you have an uncomfortable car like this, it's not fun.
I'm glad you said that. But look here, we still got time on the clock, and we got 2 cars on the racetrack. So as we hear, I was listening to you say that, and I'm looking out, I'm like, there's nobody even utilizing the time.
Well, you run out of tires here, and you want to make that long run to be able to look at your tire wears, make sure you've got everything where it needs to be, know exactly how aggressive you can be on those tires. But they just get to a certain point where they fall off, and there's no reason to run further than what you're going to run in a run during the race. So,
and the track's green, to your point, and again, I think was 35 laps is the most laps I've seen. I think I see on the board with Bubba Wallace. So, yeah, the 30s. It's time to park. Let's get a tire sheet and see what we got.
Yeah, Bubba and Riley Herbst have each run 35 laps. Chase Elliott's run the most, 40. Ty Gibbs, 37.
I would say the 12 car is just going back out to make sure that if we got this vibration nipped in the bud.
All right, for those of you watching on YouTube and Facebook, our coverage continues on Prime Video with qualifying getting underway shortly.
and daytime fatigue, it could be OSA. Talk to your doctor.
Welcome back to Las Vegas. Here were the best in. Bell had the fastest single lap. Denny Hamlin the best 10. Zane Smith the best 15. And Ty Gibbs the best 20 consecutive laps. So there are the 4 drivers who won practice today.
There's some rhyme and reason right there. 3 of the 4 Gibbs cars.
The pre-race was these 4 drivers. The pre-race was these 4 drivers to lose their pit stall selection, and the car chief ejected for Austin Cindric, Ty Dillon, A.J. Allmendinger, and William Byron. Here's Jamie.
And Carson Hocevar, 9th in practice. So what was your takeaway, Mr. Hocevar, on that short practice as we switch things over and head into qualifying?
Awful, to be honest. It was super loose. But, yeah, my guys are working on it. In the last run, we felt a little bit more comfortable, but still pretty nervous down in the corner. So hopefully we get this Chili's, ride the Dente Chevy, kind of dialed in and, put up a decent lap. And, it's at least good for 1 lap speed. It just, I can't really hold on to it right now. So, I texted Dickerson asking if I could borrow the sprint car tonight or for tomorrow after they're done with it, because I thought that thing maybe had a little bit more grip in it, just watching that.
Worse than awful. Okay. Clint was talking about your fire suit. What is this exactly? There's some fringe back here. It's very Western look.
Yeah, we're just in Vegas, so they wanted to go very Vegas themed. So, they got the bedazzled on the car, and then, obviously this get up. So, yeah, they like to, obviously get out there a lot.
All right, good luck in qualifying. Mike?
And Jamie is exactly correct. Maybe on ladies they're tassels, but when guys have a leather jacket with that, it's fringe. Clint?
I've got a pair of gloves with fringe on them.
Okay.
I'm confused.
Get the old lasso out.
Sounds like time for a break to me. I'm Josh Sims hosting. Then
here with Ty Gibbs. Ty can talk about where you were on the practice sheet, but two things I want to point out. You ran 37 consecutive laps. That's a good sign. And Kevin and Clint were talking about that 54 car looked like it was painting that white line.
Yeah, you know, I feel like we have a really fast Monster Energy Toyota Camry. You know, felt like it handled really well. You know, make some little adjustments for the short run, but the boys brought a great race car, and we're about to go at it. Thank you to Oakley, Monster Energy, Toyota, Alpine Stars, everybody that helps me. And yeah, it's a great day, a beautiful day in Phoenix. A little dry, you know, but really cool. Very happy to be here, very blessed, and we're gonna go make the best of it.
Well, I told him I picked a bad day to wear a long sleeve shirt, but 4th at Dakota, 4th at Phoenix, I'm telling you, that win is closing in.
He's on a roll, Larry. That's yeah, that's for sure. There are Elvis impersonators in Vegas, and there are Blaney impersonators. How about that? Now there's some fringe, Clint.
Good find, Mike. Good find.
Where'd you go?
Everywhere.
Oh, well, all right then. Chase Briscoe is going to be first on the that was here based on point standing and last race finish. It all started at Daytona where he got caught up in somebody's mess and ended up behind the wall at Coda. Tire down at Phoenix, hard into the wall and out early. It has not been a season to remember for Chase Briscoe. There are his finishes, but for Atlanta, he's had speed everywhere.
But that's the key, Mike. Just keep your head down, keep digging. It'll turn. Tide'll turn.
Well, and it steamrolls, right? Racetrack's not cleaned up. You got to go out first and try to qualify. You see,
you surprised to see him run that outside?
No, I think that'll be the standard line because you want to go around those bumps because you have to carry so much more throttle down there through 1 and 2, and that's the smoothest route.
He finished 4th here last fall.
Almost got too low in 3 and 4. Carrying a lot of speed around there, guys.
Now 29.343 for Chase Briscoe. That is 0.3 faster than his best practice lap.
Yeah, but still just at a big disadvantage, because as this rubber starts to pick up off this racetrack, every car that goes is going to pick that rubber up, and the track's just going to get a little bit faster every time somebody goes.
I don't know that lap's going to be very, I mean, Christopher Bell, his teammate, was the fastest in practice at a 29.33, and that was in, you know, race trim tire pressures.
So here's Cole Custer for Haas Factory Racing's, the switch to Chevrolet this year. 30.27 was his best practice lap. He has a 1.5 mile track win in the Cup Series. It came at Kentucky.
Yeah, they're definitely struggling trying to get some speed out of these cars pretty much every week that we've run so far, except for Daytona. So got some work to do here.
30.25, that's right on top of his practice time. Justin Allgaier substituting for Alex Bowman, making his first Las Vegas Cup start since 2015.
Well, and this qualifying session is going to be a lot different for Justin than what he did in 2015, as you see that car right on pace with Chase Briscoe through turns 1 and 2. But it's a big commitment here at Las Vegas Motor Speedway when it comes time to qualify.
Now his best practice lap was 11th overall at 29.61.
To lift a little bit there. Can he bring it back, get into the gas? I think it's just going to stay there. Not bad.
29.37, good pickup over practice, but it puts him second right now.
Yeah, he did a great job through turns 1 and 2. Just wasn't able to keep the throttle down off the from the center of turns 3 and 4 to the exit.
Austin Cindric in his Ford for Team Penske has 2 top 10s in 8 starts here, 6th in this race last year. And he was 29.85 in practice.
It's going to be important to get these cars qualified better than they're running in practice. They were struggling for speed and handling, all of them, all the Penske cars in practice, Ford in general, really. So, and you can see it there, they're off the pace.
Yeah.
1 and 2.
And typically these Fords pick up a lot more in qualifying than a lot of the other cars, but
which will bail you out.
Here at Vegas.
Oh, big moment right there for Noah. He was committed to the throttle, and that thing went over the bumps, and the back stepped out on him, and he had to get way out of the throttle, but he was. And it hit that first bump, and by the time it got to the second one, it was up the racetrack and out of control. Good save by Noah. Not fun.
No.
So here's Josh Berry for the Wood Brothers.
And you've seen a lot of these cars come to the green off the pace, which is, you know, a really important part of this lap. As you see Josh Berry, he's going to be about the same amount off that Austin Cindric was, maybe a little bit more.
And they are within half a tenth of each other as the mercury continues to rise here.
Look at that track temp, 10 degrees on track temp. Oh, grip meter doesn't like that.
Nope.
Going back to what I said about Bell and his teammate Briscoe running at 34, where Bell ran a 33 in practice and race trim pressures, that 10 degrees will make up for quite a bit of that right there, so kind of equalizes it.
Connor Zilic on track now. High 80s today, and tomorrow it will be the hottest NASCAR spring race ever at Las Vegas Motor Speedway.
Well, you see Connor got to the green really good and continued that trend through turns 1 and 2. Can he hold the throttle down off the exit of turn 4?
Cut the corner off a little bit.
Yeah,
he was a little straighter into the corner. He saw Briscoe, a real big high arc getting into the corner, enabled him to get rotated instead of the throttle.
And he'll be third. He picks up 6/10 from practice.
So hard when you get through turns 1 and 2 really good like that to be able to decide how hard you need to drive it in 3 and 4.
Now Ross Chastain, you see his stats there on the screen. He has the best average finish at Las Vegas of all drivers in the Gen 7 car, average finish of 7th.
We see another car, Connor Zilich's teammate, Ross Chastain, get through turns 1 and 2 really good.
Look at the arc. Watch this. See the point now? Little straighter getting into the corner, but he kept the throttle down, but he's running out of real estate. Still going to get it.
He's going to get
Great
it.
lap.
Top of the board, 29.33.
Now we're talking.
Good job.
For Ross Chastain, that is 4.5 tenths better than practice.
Yeah, and he was 22nd in practice on the speed, overall speed, so that's a good rebound for them.
Don't go to sleep on Cody Ware. He is having the best start to a season ever in his Cup career. He has 9 Las Vegas previous starts, but he was 17th in practice.
Definitely had a good practice session, so seeing that speed of this Rick Ware team pick up as we go to start this season.
And remember, they also made a switch from Ford to Chevrolet for this season. He was 29.68 in practice and falls off a 10th in qualifying. All right, 9 of 36 drivers have had their turn at the stopwatch. Qualifying continues after this.
You the freedom to explore our great country with travel trailers starting at just $76 a month, fifth wheel starting at $227, and motorhome starting at $563. Camping World has the best RV prices and the best RV brands in America. Pursue your American dream at Camping World.
You play by the rules. Then things happen. Prices keep climbing. Every month, a new expense. And the debt adds up. So how do you face it? It starts with a call, then a plan. At National Debt Relief, we'll negotiate with your creditors so you pay less than you owe. And just like that, you're back on track. When debt happens, we're here to help you take action. And this is where your new chapter begins. Call or visit nationaldebtrelief.com to get started.
Charlie, here, come here.
Oh.
I'll be right back.
Good, Charlie. Come, sit. Let's go home. Charlie, stop. Charlie, what are you doing? Charlie, will you stop that? Charlie, are you crazy? Silly dog. No more treats for you.
Sorry, where were we?
You crazy dog.
Red Bull gives you wings.
Jack Links presents the greatest duo. There's nothing like a great duo. 2 flavors, 1 bag. New Jack Links Duos.
Christopher David Bell. He's 4 years old.
Bell has driven to victory. That check is for $1 million.
When every mile matters, where will your journey take you?
Arby's Meat in 3 Box includes your choice of classic roast beef or crispy chicken. And now you can also get the Big Crispy Fish Sandwich. So get your choice of meat and 3 sides, all for just $7.99.
Arby's, we have the meats.
Welcome back to Las Vegas. 9 of 36 drivers have been on the clock. The 10th one will be Daniel Suarez. Now, Suarez was 15th in practice. Runner-up in this race last year. He's led more laps at Las Vegas in a Cup car than at any other track.
Well, I've been pretty impressed with Daniel as we've gone through these first few weeks of races. They've done a good job, qualified well last week again at Phoenix, and got the performance going pretty good to start with this new team.
29.66 in practice. That would put him 5th right now.
Really good. Coming to the green, got through turns 1 and 2. We've seen that several times now, but Daniel was able to get a car link down the back straightaway on Ross Chastain.
Talked to Daniel yesterday, ran into him out on the boulevard, as a matter of fact, walking around with the kids, and he it was ecstatic about his opportunity here with Spire, the speed they've had in their race cars off the bat. Very pumped up about where they're at so far with Spire and his 7 car.
Well, 29-27, 4/10 pickup from practice and puts him to the top of the chart. Spire as a team has had really good qualifying efforts so far this year.
See why he was pumped. And that just exudes confidence across the board with the driver, with the team, everything. I mean, you get a new opportunity, you move over to something else, it makes you nervous, right, Kevin? But there's nothing that makes confidence in racing more than success is the only thing. You can tell yourself we got to be confident, whatever. Success is literally the only thing that brings that
And
out.
this car right here, Zane Smith, he's been in the same boat as Daniel Suarez. He's had a good start to the season. His car's fast again today. We saw him fast in the 15-lap average, and he's gonna one-up Suarez right here.
29-25 for Zane Smith, almost half a second better than what he practiced, Larry.
But looks like rinse and repeat. Toyota has brought speed here, but so has 2311. Your car looks so good in practice.
Yeah, thanks, Larry. Yeah, I feel really good. You know, it starts off with confidence coming into the racetrack that you really like. So that's there. The second part for me is hoping my wife doesn't have a baby, so I have to go home and not drive this beautiful race car. Hold out for 2 more days, babe. But all in all, our Xfinity Toyota Camry is right where we picked up from last week, right where we picked up from the start of the season. So really proud of the efforts. Just small tweaks. You know, us race car drivers are divas. We're never happy. So there's some things that I would like changed, but all in all, it's good to be here in good old Sin City.
Yeah, I love what his wife said this week. She said, I'm trying to hold off till after Las Vegas. I didn't know it worked that way.
Hey, my hat's off to Ty Dillon, because you just saw his very first lap on the track today. They had a lot of inspection issues. He did not get to practice. We showed you the 4 cars that failed inspection twice. So even though he's slowest, 30-60 for first time in that car.
Mike, I would not want my first lap around this place to be, hey, I need that to be your fastest lap too.
Yeah, you're already in trouble from all the inspection stuff that you did, and now you're having to make your first lap on track for qualifying.
So here's John Hunter Nemechek, 1 top 10 and 6 Las Vegas starts, but he's been a winner here in NASCAR's other 2 National Series. 7th for Nemechek, right on top of his practice speed. 29-49. Joey Logano, 4-time Las Vegas winner. That's tied for the most all-time. And as Kevin pointed out, because he made his first laps later in the session than everybody else in Group 1, he's at the bottom of the speed chart. But here he is contending for the top spot.
And that's pretty typical out of this team. You see him having to fight the wheel through turns 1 and 2. Makes me concerned down here in 3 and 4 as to what that car is going to do. You hear him
probably going to straighten that entry out a little bit.
Big crack of the throttle right there, and having to trail the throttle all the way up out the corner. And you see Zane Smith just start to get away right there in our ghost car.
For as loose as that car was,
30-29 in practice. He picked up one full second.
You could tell by the way he was sawing on that wheel and how hard he was holding on to that thing. That was a nervous race car around that track. That's a pretty good lap for the...
He's happy it's over.
Yes. Yeah. Second fastest Ford.
He's going to go ahead and be able to take him a breath now.
Now, Ricky Stenhouse finished 14th here last fall. His best finish at Vega in the Gen 7 car era.
Yeah,
he kind of led the Chevrolet group in practice, 3rd overall at 29.46. That practice lap would put him 7th. Let's see if he can pick up.
Well, he got to the green really good and actually had some distance in front of Zane Smith. He got tight off of turn 2, and you're seeing the same thing off of turn 4. Didn't give up a lot of speed off of turn 4, but definitely headed the wrong direction off of both corners with the front end.
You could see the point in the middle of the center of both ends, both corners. It was just headed up the racetrack for everybody else.
But his 29.38, almost a 10th better than he practiced. Austin Dillon next up. Finished a season best 16th at Phoenix, despite having to rebound from a flat tire. He was 20th in practice at a 29.77.
And you see Zane is able to, he turned his car into 3 a little bit early. Austin held his car out a little bit more and going to make up a whole bunch of distance because of that.
Top of the chart by 2 1/1000ths.
Yeah, and that all happened in turn 3. Zane turned in early, kind of got a straighter entry. Austin was able to arc that car out and get it to the bottom, and that really paid off for him from the center to the exit of the corner.
Home race for Riley Herbst. 3 career Saturday wins here. 29.66 in practice for Herbst. Best finish of 17th in the Cup Series here came last fall.
Yeah, and I think you're starting to see this racetrack start to take shape from the cars that have picked up all the rubber. You're starting to see every car that goes out. And right there you saw Riley didn't quite have that same success with his line on the entry once he got to the center of the corner.
He will be 6th despite a 0.3 of a second pickup from practice.
You know, that ghost car really shows the momentum, the speed they carry around here, the on throttle time, all but wide open around here. You see anybody crack out of the throttle the least little bit, and it just makes a huge difference at a fast racetrack like that.
I can't even overstress how intense of a lap this is for qualifying with all the bumps and the commitment. You know when you go out there that you want to go through 3 and 4, coming to the green wide open, you want to go through 1 and 2 wide open.
Hey, Kevin.
Yep, Carson Hocevar should be a threat for the pole here. He was 9th in practice, 29.59.
Cuts corner off. Stayed low though. It's not good, but see, when he lifted, had to cut out of he cut the corner a little bit, lifted out of the gas, and it killed his lap. Austin Dillon of that big arc. That's such an easy thing to do in turn 3, Kevin.
You see him look up at the scoreboard. And I mean, you are probably the same way. How many times did you get to the green good, go through turns 1 and 2 good, and then just get down to the other end, and all of a sudden the car doesn't turn or it gets loose?
Well, he picked up a quarter second from practice, but right now he is 6th. Jamie?
Well, Denny Hamlin, we talked about him in practice, good long run speed. And Denny, you got the pole and won here in the fall from that position, but what are your expectations after that practice here when it comes to the pole?
As far as to the pole, I mean, it's possible. You know, it's just a matter of whether your commitment matches the grip of the car. But yeah, we were really good here in the fall, and you know, this was one of the better mile and a half practice sessions I've had. So everything feels good with the car. It's just got to fine tune it slightly for the changes tomorrow. But you know, if we can get somewhere in that top 8 or so in qualifying, I'm gonna be happy with that.
All right, Denny looking for his 2nd straight pole here at Las Vegas, Mike.
Thanks, Jamie. 2nd overall in practice. He lacked a 10th to Christopher Bell, but yep, those Gibbs Toyotas have speed.
I was looking at the backside of his run, and on the graph, the lap time graph, his was one of the only ones that started to come back down and going faster yet. So yes, the graph definitely backed up his confidence that he said he had in his car in the race trim. And it shows you I don't even need to be on a pole. I just want to be somewhere in the top 8, and that's going to be good enough.
Clint, you're an old body man. Look at the metal flake on that wrap.
A bass boat, baby.
Yeah, I guess it is now. Used to be a hot rod. Had all that metal flake. But yeah, they put it in the gel coat.
I love
on those boats. That's pretty awesome.
More the better. It's going to be a good weekend for him too. Teammate, we just talked about what Denny Hamlin, the confidence is his. I've seen all these Gibbs cars, seen it enough already, Kevin. They definitely have a lot of grip in their cars. They've been having a lot of grip, a lot of success with these Toyotas, but I think it's going to be the Gibbs cars this time to better the 2311.
And we heard Larry talk at the beginning of the show how nothing has changed from last year. The tire, the Toyotas haven't changed. The Chevy has a different body. But for those Toyotas, they are basically going off the notes they had in the fall the same way.
Zoom with Kyle Busch, the 19th driver to take time. Was a 9 winner here. Also had his home track. He grew up about 20 miles from here and cut his teeth racing at the Las Vegas Bull Ring right outside turn 1.
Yeah, well, his teammate's sitting on the top of the board, so we know that RCR car has the capability to run the speed of 1 lap. It's just a matter of the balance and everything for Kyle as to where they're different from the 3 car. But right now you see to the green. Oh, big lift.
Look where he's out on the racetrack. A little lower than Austin Dillon. He went across them bumps, bounced the car, had to lift.
Now he was a 10th and a half faster than Austin in practice.
Yeah, and he
another.
Nope, 11th right now, 29.45. 2/10 off pole. Chase Elliott has a best finish of 9th here in this 7th generation Cup car. He was 30th in practice for reasons as discussed. You go out a little later, your PR lap's not going to be as fast. See what he can do.
Well, he got to the green really good, and like you have been talking about, Clint, where you're at on that racetrack through the middle of 1 and 2 is very critical to keep the car from hitting the ground with all the speed that you have.
Well, in my opinion, Austin Dillon did a perfect job navigating through those bumps. He went just above them, and I think that's why he comes off of turn 2 excelling against the competition. But again, that big arc getting into 3 is where the money was made.
4th for Elliott with a big pickup, almost 7/10 of a second, and Austin Dillon hangs on to the top spot.
That's a good lap for Elliott, though.
Yep. AJ Allmendinger finished top 10 in 2 of the last 5 races here. He was 8th here in this race last March, but he was 26th in practice.
Yeah, and unfortunately for AJ, he was really uncomfortable with his car in practice, and a lot of times that just doesn't result to the commitment that it takes because you're just not comfortable in there, and the car's not driving like he wants it.
We talked about the arc getting into 3 that we've noticed, you know, with the other competitors with Austin Dillon, but I just saw that lap. Give him credit for the arc that he put in 1 too. When he got into 1, it was a big handsome arc getting in, and that just helps to navigate through those bumps with the right point, keeping that throttle down and not running out of real estate on the exit both ends.
15th for the Dinger. Todd Gilliland, 29.84 in practice. He was 27th and finished a season best 12th at Phoenix.
See that arc? He's higher getting in entry into that corner, and when you hit those bumps, he's pointed the right way. He's not still pulling on the wheel and bouncing across those.
Yeah, if you're pulling on the wheel and bouncing across those bumps as it releases off the middle of turn 2, that thing is just going to want to go straight.
Or come around, swap ends on you.
15th for Gilliland, 29.49. Pickup of 3.5 tenths.
You want to be pretty neutral with your inputs. You don't really want a lot of wheel in it. You darn sure don't want to be loose as you cross those. And I think the point is important.
Eric Jones was 23rd in practice. He finished 10th at Phoenix. His first top 10 since Darlington last Labor Day.
Always a good qualifier. I think a lot of Eric Jones behind the wheel of a race car. And right there, look at that. Pretty much spot on right over the top of the 3 car. Cut this corner off a little bit. Let's see if he can hold it through the center. See how he lost that speed?
And it's not really the arc getting in the corner. It's just like Austin just waits a little longer to pull it down.
Little lazier of an arc, but I think that's what helps him at the center of the corner be able to keep on the gas and not run out of real estate on the exit where you see others having trouble.
Well, he picked up half a second, and Jones currently is 4th. Brad Keselowski, 3-time Vegas winner, 3 straight top 10s on 1.5 miles. 24th in practice.
Yeah, and you heard him have to breathe the throttle a couple times and saw it on your screen right there through the turns 1 and 2, and that just results in a couple car lengths down the back straightaway, and usually means you're going to have to lift again.
Center having to lift to keep knocking that wall down.
17th for Keselowski, 29.50, a quarter second of a pickup. And all the RFK cars are going to qualify right together here. Here's Ryan Preece, top 10 in both Vegas races last year, including 3rd in this race. He was 29.77 in practice.
And you see everybody starting to cut that apron down the front straightaway. That's a distance thing, just trying to get all the distance that you can out of the racetrack and not affect the arc on the entrance to the corner. So Ryan did a good job of that, got his car back out to the wall, able to get a good run down into turn 3, but can he hold that arc and get through the center of the corner like that 3 car?
So
far,
like
he's
so
gonna
good.
do it.
Yep. Got a new leader.
Nice job, big dog. P1.
29.205 by half a tenth. Ryan Preece is fastest.
Well, new rabbit to chase. Now you're going to see what he did better and who can try to do better than even that.
So this will be Chris Buescher, who was 18th in practice, fastest of the RFK cars in practice, and finished 13th or better in 4 of the last 5 races here.
That car never really pointed getting into the corner, but he did a great job keeping the throttle down here. Never had to crack out of the gas on the exit. Sure is driving the car down in the corner a lot. Now he's having to lift.
But he'll be second by 4/100ths.
And just the whole time, it just never looked like the nose of the car was headed in the right direction compared to Priest. But
he didn't take off on him.
Right.
In both of those cars, they looked snug, but they weren't. RFK.
Van Gisbergen, 29.82 in practice. He is 5th in the Cup point standings.
And I think this has been one of Shane's things that he's really gotten used to over the last year or so on these ovals, is just the commitment to the throttle and the things that the car will do. But also the thing that helps him is now he's going out later on the racetrack. The racetrack is cleaner. He's able to get a better position in qualifying to help those qualifying efforts be closer to the front.
That's a great job.
Absolutely.
8th at 29.29. He picks up half a second.
We've been talking about it. He was right with him. Nailed 1 and 2 right exactly where Priest was following along on the Ghost car. You almost lost him, as a matter of fact. But I think the business is being done down here in 3 and 4. Don't overdrive the car. Don't cut your entry off. Make sure when you roll the middle, you don't have to crack out of that gas on the exit. Great lap, Ryan Priest.
Yeah, whether that holds up or not for the pole, that's a great lap. He leads his team. Fastest Ford so far.
Well, I mean, look at practice. You didn't really see any Fords, for that matter, being at the top of the sheet on a long run or anything else. This keeps you in front of that pack. You get mired back in traffic and your car's not making much grip, you're in big trouble. And you keep that thing up front, you'll be all right.
And I think it's more important for the Fords. I think when they're in traffic, they're not as good in traffic as the Chevys or the Toyotas on these mile-and-a-half racetracks. So really important for those guys to qualify as far forward as possible. Really, that's what I thought that some of the other Fords would do. It kind of surprise us and be a little further up. But I think for Logano, him going out so early, I think the racetrack has gotten a little bit better, and you know, I think that paid a little bit of a benefit to these guys, Ryan Priest and Chris Buescher.
So hopefully it holds up. Have some good track position.
That's exactly right. That track position is so important. If you're at a little bit of a deficit on a grip meter, right, when you get onto these long runs, those things like clean air and like being up front
and a good pit stall. You know,
just keep going.
You pick your pits.
Everything
based
gets
on
better.
Qualifying, sure. Michael McDowell is going to be up next. He has back-to-back top 10 finishes for the first time since May of 24.
We've talked about his teammate Suarez and Spire Motorsports. This another prime example. They have been really good in qualifying, and that's helped them throughout the course of a race as well.
Yep. 32nd in practice at a 30.12.
Yeah, and I thought Hocevar's comments, they were pretty straightforward when he was talking about his car. It sounded like he hated it. Michael McDowell's car was way behind his. So this lap, we know McDowell always notorious for picking up the pace and that commitment that it takes for qualifying.
And oh, by the way, he was the pole sitter for this race 1 year ago. He is one of those drivers that when it comes time to qualify just seems to find a little something extra.
Well, he can do that, but I'm telling you, Michael McDowell is a hidden gem as far as the team leader and the things that he can do within your organization. We saw that at Front Row Motorsports. I think that Michael not being there is one of the key pieces that they miss, and helping them guide their car, being in the shop, talking to the team and the crew chiefs and making good decisions.
Well, big lift there. I think he went right through that bump.
He went for it.
Yeah. But let's go back to that. There ain't many people with more experience in the Cup Series anymore than Michael McDowell. A lot of experience behind the wheel of that race car.
Not going to be the lap that he hoped for. 22nd, 29.65.
But that's the commitment that you have to have. And whether the car bottoms out, pushes, slides sideways, we saw it with Noah Gragson, and right there with Michael McDowell. If you're going to have a decent qualifying lap, you have to be committed to going wide open through turns 1 and 2.
I think he was about 3 feet too low through 1 and 2 compared to these fast cars, and I think it got him in that bump and got him in trouble.
Yeah.
This is a car that just went through that bump that I'm just talking about, but that one didn't take off and
the
get
distance,
upset in the bump.
The distance paid off for him as he headed down the back straightaway with that gain in lap time because of the shorter track distance. But he's going to be close to giving that up off of turn 4.
Don't forget he's going to lose a pit spot on this too.
He is second to Ryan Preece by 1/100th of a second after winning here 3 years ago. So right now a Ford Chevy front row. We'll see how long that lasts as Ty Gibbs rolls out for his run. Gibbs was 13th in practice.
Handful of confidence with this driver. This is something new.
Back-to-back top 5 finishes.
Yeah, and you see that car go over those bumps as well and just absorb it and just paid off for him down the back straightaway.
Completely soaked it up, didn't it, Kevin? You nailed it. Absorbed those bumps.
He's never
even affected it.
He's headed for another zip code.
I think that's what you're going to see out of all these Gibbs cars.
Yeah, he ain't going to be the only one.
29.06. That picks up 0.6 of a second from practice. Awesome lap.
Yeah, almost 2 tenths on the field.
Yeah.
Get you some. Watch this one.
See if his teammate Denny Hamlin can equal that. Hamlin was second in practice. 2-time Vegas winner.
You see him a little bit lower on the racetrack right there. About a half a car length. But those cars just absorb the bumps better, Clint.
Sure do. Never affect. You didn't even hear it in the throttle. You didn't, like the other cars, you could hear it. Whoa. It cracked out of the gas here, though, a little bit. Little discipline getting in, but he stayed right back with it. How about you? Get you some, Denny Hamlin.
Winner here last fall, 29 flat.
So far, 20.
That's a 0.4 of a second pickup from practice.
It is a great lap and a great pickup, but
there is a shot fired to the competition.
But there is room to beat that with the way that he had to pedal that thing off of turn 4.
Tyler Reddick, 29.60 in practice. He's been top 10, 6 of the last 9 Vegas races. Good track for him.
Yeah, you see him up the racetrack a little bit compared to Denny Hamlin, and that distance just
ate him up.
You can't make up for that. A little bigger arc, but just never going to make up what he lost in turns 1 and 2. Holds that distance about the same through turns 3 and 4, but all that speed was in turn 1 and 2.
29.16 puts Toyota's 1, 2, 3 at the top of the board. See if Kyle Larson can break that up with his Camaro. 3-time Vegas winner, leads all drivers in laps led here at Las Vegas. 8th in practice.
And they've obviously told Kyle Larson, you need to be lower on the racetrack than what you watched earlier, and I'm sure he was doing the same thing. He ran just as low as Denny Hamlin. That car looks a little more rigid than the Toyotas did right through there. But the Toyotas you saw, they just looked like the left side of the car would absorb the bumps, and that looked like the whole car as Larson went through the bumps.
He picks up 0.4, 29.10, third fastest.
He's going to have to do it the hard way. I mean, we've been telling you, those Gibbs cars, they handle the bumps better. They stay pointed through the bumps. They stay lower off the corners. They're making more grip is what that is. And that's going to be hard to handle in the race.
3 cars to go. Bubba Wallace, 4th in practice. Had a season best finish of 6th last week.
The thing that's impressive about the grip that they're making, Kevin, usually when you see that much grip, it comes at a deficit somewhere with speed, right?
Yeah, this one's got a lot of wheel input into that car on the entry to the corner.
Still going to be right there.
Yep.
3rd for Wallace.
Great lap.
29.06. Now that gives Toyotas 4 of the top 5.
It's getting ready to be another one when Christopher Bell goes, most likely.
You know, anytime you're that confident as we've been with these Toyotas and the Gibbs cars, it makes you a little bit nervous, but I'm glad they're backing that up.
Christopher Bell gained 18 positions in the point standings after finished 2nd at Phoenix. Finished top 3 in 3 of the last 5 races here. Fastest in practice.
Well, he's the fastest through turns 1 and 2 right now. So if he can just hold on through turns 3 and 4 and not make a big mistake, he's going to put it at the top of the board again.
This will give Toyota 5 of the first 6 spots. 28.85.
Wow.
He won. Crushed him.
Yeah.
That's a great way to put it. You
Yes,
did, buddy.
it is.
You crushed him.
Well, it's down to Ryan Blaney, who will be the last driver to qualify, last week's winner. 33rd in practice. And a vibration issue that they had to diagnose late in the session.
Yeah, and that's the worst, when you just don't know whether, is it a tire, is it something out of balance, or what's going on with the car. And as many tire failures and things that they have had happen here, as you see Ryan Blaney way up the racetrack compared to Christopher Bell.
Physically see that car bouncing through those bumps, and you couldn't even tell that those 20 cars or the Gibbs cars were even in a bump.
Yeah, I mean, even compared to Larson, like the ride quality through those bumps is just drastically better.
So the fastest Ford is Blaney in 6th with a 29.16. The fastest Chevy is Larson in 5th at 29.10. And the first 2 rows belong to Toyota: Bell, Hamlin, Gibbs, and Wallace. 15th career pole for Christopher Bell. His last one was at Martinsville last March, 33 starts ago. First pole of the season. And his 4 poles at Las Vegas are the most of any driver ever. Jamie.
And Denny Hamlin, I saw you put your foot out for Bell. Great run by him, but you'll qualify outside front row. What do you have to say about what you guys have and what you brought here with Toyota this weekend? Good on the long run and best on the short run.
Yeah, they're, all the Toyotas look really strong, and it's got that good feel that I'm looking for in the car. A great lap by Bell, awesome 3 and 4. Yeah, we just barely missed the balance slightly there in qualifying, but still, I'm not sure we would have had enough to run that kind of speed. So we're built for tomorrow, and hopefully we get the same result we had here last time.
All right, great qualifying effort, best of the year for Denny Hamlin and the 11 team. Larry.
Yeah, Jamie, I'm with the pole sitter, Christopher Bell. Christopher, you just told me the car's got grip. That makes my job easy. You've had grip all day long.
I think I have. Yes, the Interstate Batteries Camry feels really nice. Just I don't know. I've talked about this a lot, throughout the last couple of races, but just super, super proud of my team, and we're finally getting back to where we need to be, and it feels good. I mean, we used to be able to qualify really well on these intermediates, and then I don't know. It feels like we just fell a little bit off, and now we got it back. So my engineers, my crew chief, my mechanics, my pit crew, everybody's been doing such a good job in 2026. It's so fun to drive this number 20 car, and yeah, I'm excited about tomorrow.
Mike, he's done about everything but win at this 1.5 mile track. And your point earlier, they get that #1 pit selection by sitting on the pole.
Oh, that's right, Larry. Joe Gibbs racing 1, 2, 3 at the start here last year, which Hamlin won.
I don't want to be the competition against Gibbs cars this week, Kevin.
Well, I think the bad part is they're fast by themselves. They're fast on a long run. They've got the best pit stalls, so those Toyotas will be tough to beat tomorrow.
Tomorrow, NASCAR Cup Racing from Las Vegas. Pre-race 2:30 Eastern. The Pennzoil 400 presented by Jiffy Lube, 4 p.m. And it all happens on FS1. Thanks for watching NASCAR on Prime, where we'll have practice and qualifying coverage for each
Healthy paving is like contract.